گلوی زین حدیث عاقبت سر کنم، خنده مستانه ای زین تلخی ناب شراب، اشک دل فریاد مستانه به نامش برکنم. یاد بادا یاد بادا یاد بادا ساقیا آن روی همچو هورا، آن نگاه اغلب در احمق مشهور را. خنده بی مثل او بر دل دکانی هم زده، پنهان کرده در دل و مغز و روانم تو را.
Good evening, everybody. How lovely to see you. For those who join now and for those who join later, my name is Joanna Godwin-Seidl. I am your host for this evening's reading of 1001 Nights. Welcome to my in-lockdown living room and my beautiful hearth fire, which is wonderfully warm and very inviting. I wish you could all sit in here with me because it smells fantastic, the burning wood. And there's my little lamp at the back there, which I am not going to rub because, as we know, for those of you who've been listening in since the beginning, when you rub those lamps and the jinns come out, often not good things happen. Even though you think you're going to get a great wish, it doesn't always work out like that. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to me this evening. Thank you very much for the likes already. And I will continue with the story. And yeah, please feel free to make comments. Please feel free to share what we do. If you enjoy it and you want to help Samantha and I out, we do need money because we are doing this as a gratuity. You can go to www.paypal.me/Vienna Theatre Project. The link is on our Vienna Theatre Project page and on our website, www.viennatheatreproject.com. It's always such a mouthful, isn't it? But it's very true. So we're very, very grateful for any help that you can provide. And yes, without further ado, I am going to start reading for you. I'm just going to turn the music down a little bit because I find it tends to distract me a little bit when it's playing. That, by the way, was the beautiful music of Kamyab Saderi. You can find his links on our Facebook page and on our homepage again. And otherwise, just look him up on YouTube, Kamyab Saderi. And that song is called Went, and it's very, very beautiful. It's my personal favourite. That's why I always play it. So, hi, everybody. Let me see if I can bring you just, whoopsie, a little bit closer, because I can see you better and you can see me. My beautiful fire, which my husband very kindly built again for us this evening because he is the king of fire making. So here we go. Now, when it was the 261st night, hold on a second, that really does have to go off. There we go. When it was the 261st night, Shahrazad said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the caliph said to the damsel Kut al-Kulub, I would have thee play him upon the lute and air of fashion sweet and rare, that he may be solaced of his cark and care." So she rose and made sweet music, and the caliph said to Ala al-Din, "What sayest thou of this damsel's voice?" He replied, "Verily, O Commander of the Faithful, Zubaydah's voice was the finer, but she is skilled in touching the lute cunningly, and her playing would make a rock dance with glee." The Caliph asked, "Does she please thee?" And he answered, "She doth." O Commander of the Faithful. Whereupon the king said, "By the life of my head and the tombs of my forefathers, she is a gift from me to thee, she and her waiting women." Ala al-Din fancied that the caliph was jesting with him. But on the morrow, the king went in to Kut al-Kulub and said to her, "I have given thee to Ala al-Din." Whereat she rejoiced, for she had seen him and loved him. Then the caliph returned from the Seraglio palace to the divan, and calling porters said to them, "Set all the goods of Kut al-Kulub and her waiting women in a litter, and carry them to Ala al-Din's home." So they conducted her to the house and showed her into the pavilion, whilst the caliph sat in the hall of audience till the close of day, when the divan broke up and he retired to his harem. Such was his case. But as regards Kut al-Kulub, when she had taken upon her lodging in Ala al-Din's mansion, she and her women, 40 in all, besides the eunuchry, she called 2 of these campanized slaves and said to them, "Sit ye on stools, one on the right and another on the left of the door, and when Ala al-Din cometh home, both of you kiss his hands and say to him, Our mistress Kut al-Kulub requesteth thy presence in the pavilion, for the caliph hath given her to thee, her and her women." They answered, "We hear and obey," and did as she bade them. So when Ala al-Din returned, he found 2 of the caliph's eunuchs sitting at the door, and was amazed at the matter, and said to himself, "Surely this is not my own house. Or else what could have happened?" Now, when the eunuchs saw him, they rose to him, and kissing his hands, said to him, "We are of the caliph's household, and slaves Kut al-Kulub, who saluteth thee, giving thee to know that the Caliph hath bestowed her on thee, her and her women, and requesteth thy presence. Quoth Ala al-Din, say ye to her, thou art welcome, but as long as thou shalt abide with me, I will not enter the pavilion wherein thou art. For what was the master's should not become the man's. And furthermore ask her, what was the sum of thy day's expenditure in the Caliph's palace? So they went in and did his errand to her, and she answered, 100 dinars a day. Whereupon quoth he to himself, there was no need for the Caliph to give me Kut al-Kulub, that I should be put to such an expense for her, but there is no help for it. So she abode with him a while, and he assigned her daily 100 dinars for her maintenance, till one day he absented himself from the divan, and the Caliph said to Jafar, O Wazir, I gave not Kut al-Kulub unto Ala al-Din, but she might console him for his wife. Why then doth he still hold aloof from us? Answered Jafar, O Commander of the Faithful, he spake sooth who said, whoso findeth his fear forgetteth his friends. Rejoined the Caliph, haply he hath not absented himself without excuse, but we will pay him a visit. Now, some days before this, Ala al-Din had said to Jafar, I complained to the Caliph of my grief and mourning for the loss of my wife Zubaydah, and he gave me Kut al-Kulub. And then the minister replied, except he loved thee, he had not given her to thee. Say, hast thou gone unto her, O Ala al-Din? He rejoined, no, by Allah, I know not her length from her breadth. He asked, and why? And he answered, O Wazir, what befitteth the Lord befitteth not the liege. Then the Caliph and Jafar disguised themselves and went privily to visit Ala al-Din. But he knew them, and rising to them kissed the hands of the Caliph, who looked at him and saw signs of sorrow on his face. So he said to him, O Ala al-Din, whence cometh this sorrow wherein I see thee? Hast thou not gone in unto Kut al-Kulub? He replied, O Commander of the Faithful, what befitteth the Lord befitteth not the thrall. Not as yet I have not gone in to visit her, nor do I know her length from her breadth. So pray, quit me of her. Quote the Caliph, I would fain see her and question her of her case. Quoth Ala al-Din, I hear and obey, O Commander of the Faithful. So the Caliph went in, and Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. So I'm going to carry on with the next night, everybody. Now, when it was the 162nd night, Shahrazad said, it has reached me, O auspicious king, that the Caliph went in to Kut al-Kulub, who rose to him on sighting him and kissed the ground between his hands. When he said to her, hath Ala al-Din gone in unto thee? And she answered, No, O Commander of the Faithful. I sent to bid him come, but he would not. So the Caliph bade carry her back to the harem, and saying to Ala al-Din, Do not absent thyself from us, returned to his palace. Accordingly, next morning, Ala al-Din mounted and rode to the divan, where he took his seat as chief of the 60. Presently, the Caliph ordered his treasurer to give the Wazir Jafar 10,000 dinars and said, when his order was obeyed, I charge thee to go down to the bazaar where handmaidens are sold and buy Ala al-Din a slave girl with this sum. So in obedience to the king, Jafar took Ala al-Din and went down with him to the bazaar. Now, as chance would have it, that very day, the Emir Khalid, whom the Caliph had made governor of Baghdad, went down to the market to buy a slave girl for his son. And the cause of his going was that his wife, Khatun by name, had borne him a son called Habzalam Bazadar. And the same was foul of favour and had reached the age of 20 without learning to mount a horse, albeit his father was brave and bold. A doughty rider ready to plunge into the sea of darkness. And it happened that on a certain night he had a dream which caused nocturnal pollution, whereof he told his mother, who rejoiced and said to his father, I want to find him a wife, as he is now ripe for wedlock. Quoth Khalid, the fellow is so foul of favour, and withal so rank of odour, so sordid and beastly, that no woman would take him as a gift. And she answered, We will buy him a slave girl. So it befell. And she answered, For the accomplishing of what Allah Almighty had decreed, that on the same day Jafar and Ala al-Din, the governor Khalid, and his son went down to the market, and behold, they saw in the hands of the broker a beautiful girl, lovely faced and of perfect shape. And the Wazir said to him, O broker, ask her owner if he will take 1,000 dinars for her. And as the broker passed by the governor with a slave, Habzalam Bazazar cast at her one glance of the eyes, which entailed for himself 1,000 sighs, and he fell in love with her, and passion got hold of him, and he said, O my father, buy me yonder slave girl. So the Emir called the broker, who brought the girl to him, and asked her name. She replied, My name is Jessamine. And he said to Habzalam, O my son, an she please thee, do thou bid higher for her. Then he asked the broker, What hath been bidden for her? And he replied, 1,000 dinars. Said the governor's son, She is mine for 1,000 pieces of gold and one more. And the broker passed on to Ala al-Din, who bid 2,000 dinars for her. And as often as the Emir's son bid another dinar, Ala al-Din bid another 1,000. The ugly youth was vexed at this and said, O broker, who is it that outbiddeth me for the slave girl? Answered the broker, It is the Wazir Jafar, who is minded to buy her for Ala al-Din Abu Al Shamat. And Ala al-Din continued till he brought her price up to 10 1,000 dinars, and her owner was satisfied to sell her for that sum. Then he took the girl and said to her, I give thee thy freedom for the love of Almighty Allah. And forthwith wrote his contract of marriage with her and carried her to his house. Now, when the broker returned, after having received his brokerage, the emir's son summoned him and said to him, Where is the girl? Quoth he, well, she was bought for 10,000 dinars by Ala al-Din, who hath set her free and married her. At this, the young man was greatly vexed and cast down, and sighing many a sigh, returned home sick for love of the damsel. And he threw himself on his bed and refused food for love, and longing was sore upon him. Now, when his mother saw him in this plight, she said to him, Heaven assain thee, O my son, what aileth thee? And he answered, Oh, buy me jessamine, O my mother. Quoth she, When the flower seller passeth, I will buy thee a basketful of jessamine. Quoth he, It is not the jessamine one smells, but a slave girl named Jessamine, who my father would not buy for me. So she said to her husband, What is fit for the Lord is not fit for the liege. She said to her husband, Why and wherefore did thou not buy him this girl? And he replied, What is fit for the Lord is not fit for the liege, and I have no power to take her. No less a man bought her than Ala al-Din, chief of the 60. Then the youth's weakness redoubled upon him, till he gave up sleeping and eating. And his mother bound her head with the fillets of mourning. And while in her sadness she sat at home lamenting over her son, behold, came into her an old woman, known as the mother of Ahmad Kamakim, the arch thief, a knave who had bored through a middle wall and scaled the tallest of the tall and steal the very coal off the eyeball. From his earliest years, he had been given to these malpractices till they made him captain of the watch, when he stole a sum of money, and the chief of police, coming up in upon him in the act, carried him to the caliph, who bade him be put to death on the common execution ground. But he implored protection of the wazir, whose intercession the caliph never rejected. So he pleaded for him with the commander of the faithful, who said, How canst thou intercede for this pest of the human race? Jafar answered, O commander of the faithful, do thou imprison him. Whoso built the first jail was a sage, seeing that a jail is the grave of the living and a joy for the foe. So the caliph bade him lay him in bilboes and writhe thereon, appointed to remain here until death, and not to be loosed but on the corpse's washer's bench. And they cast him fettered into limbo. Now, his mother was a frequent visitor to the house of the Emir Khalid, who was the governor and chief of police, and she used to go into her son in jail and say to him, Did I not warn you to turn from thy wicked ways? And he would always answer her, Allah decreed this to me, but, O mother, when thou visitest the Emir's wife, make her intercede for me with her husband. So, when the old woman came into the Lady Katan, she found her bound with the fillets of mourning and said to her, Wherefore dost thou mourn? She replied, for my son, Habsalam Bazazar. And the old woman exclaimed, Heaven has slain thy son. What hath befallen him? So the mother told the whole story, and she said, What wouldst thou say of him who should achieve such a feat as would save thy son? Asked the lady. And what feat wilt thou do? Quoth the old woman, I have a son called Ahmad Kamakin, the arch thief, who lieth chained in jail, and on his bilboes is written, appointed to remain till death. So do thou don thy richest clothes and trick thee out with thy finest jewels and present thyself to thy husband with an open face and smiling mien. And when he seeketh of thee what men seek of women, put him off and balk him of his will and say, By Allah, 'tis a strange thing, when a man desireth aught of his wife, he doneth her till she doeth it. But if a wife desire aught of her husband, he will not grant it to her. Then he will say, What dost thou want? And do thou answer, First swear to grant my request. If he swear to do thee by his head or by Allah, say to him, Swear to me this oath of divorce, do not yield to him except he do this. And whereas he hath sworn to thee the oath of divorce, say to him, Thou keepest in prison a man called Ahmad Kamakin, and he hath a poor old mother who hath set upon me, and who urgeth me in the matter, and who saith, Let thy husband intercede for him with the caliph, that my son may repent, and thou gain heavenly guerdon. And the Lady Khatun replied, I hear and I obey. And when her husband came into her, and Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a late night for me tonight, and I have got to get up very early tomorrow morning. And I was up very early this morning and working all day long. So I am going to wish you all a very beautiful good evening, Tim. Hi, Yay. Hello, Abdul. Hi, Trevor. It's lovely to see you all. Anyone else who I can't see, I hope you've enjoyed the reading very, very much this evening. It was, as usual, an absolute pleasure to read for you. I am going to sit by my hearth fire for a little bit longer, make myself a nice cup of tea, put my feet up and get super comfy. And I will see you all again on Friday. Tomorrow, the beautiful Saman will be with you. I look very much forward to seeing you on Friday, where I will hopefully have some news of an online show which we will be doing at Theater Drachengasse in February, which I can tell you more about that on Friday. And in the meantime, I wish you all a very, very beautiful day, if your day has just started, a lovely evening, if it is your evening, and a beautiful good night with gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous dreams. And I send you many blessings from me to you. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day tomorrow. Be healthy. Look after yourselves. Mask up. And on Friday as well. And we will see each other all again on Friday evening. And don't forget, do feel free to share this with all your friends, with as many as people as you want, who you think might enjoy this. We are also available on YouTube. So at the end of every reading, certainly by the next evening, the reading of the night before is up on YouTube, and you can catch us there. And if you do want to support us and help us out, www.paypal.me/Vienna Theatre Project. And we would so very much look forward to your donations, because one of my lights, I'm using an old light again, because one of my new expensive gorgeous lights that I use for lighting me these days, and Saman has one as well now, has unfortunately conked out, so we need some help. Look forward to talking to you again on Friday. Bye bye everybody, take care and look after yourselves. Good night, blessings, bye bye, take care.